You ever feel like you're living life on autopilot? Like someone else is calling the shots? Not literally, but emotionally, mentally? You do things you don't want to do. Say things you don't really mean. Make choices that don't even feel like your own. Carl Jung, one of the deepest thinkers psychology has ever seen, figured something out. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Let that sink in. Basically, if you don't face what's under the surface, your habits, your triggers, your patterns, then they'll run the show. And you'll think that's just how life is. So today's not just about motivation. This is about waking up, reclaiming your life from the stuff that's been running it in the background, from the people, the patterns, the pressure. And by the end, if you stick with me, you'll understand why nobody and nothing should ever control you again. Let's get into it. First, what's really controlling you? It's probably not some obvious villain. Most of the time, it's invisible stuff. Old beliefs, fear of rejection, childhood habits you didn't even know you picked up. We all carry them. That voice in your head telling you, don't mess up. That reflex to say yes when you want to scream no. That guilt that shows up for no reason. That's not you. That's the programming. Jung called this the unconscious. And it's powerful, but not unbeatable. The moment you notice a pattern is the moment you get a choice. React or respond. Repeat or evolve. One of Jung's biggest ideas was the shadow. It's not a spooky thing. It's just the parts of yourself you don't want to look at. Anger, insecurity, shame, jealousy. You pretend they're not there. Push them down, smile and move on. But they don't disappear. They show up later, in your relationships, in your self-talk, in the way you keep sabotaging yourself without knowing why. Ever meet someone you instantly can't stand and you're not sure why? Ever get irrationally angry over something small? That's your shadow showing itself. And here's the truth. The things we hate in others usually point to something inside us we haven't faced. Not because you're a bad person, but because your unconscious wants your attention. That's why Jung said, the real journey isn't about fixing the world. It's about meeting yourself, all of you. Because once you do that, you stop being a puppet. You stop letting other people's opinions shake you. You stop needing approval to feel whole. You take your energy back. There's another thing Jung talked about, the persona, the mask you wear to fit in. You show up as the good kid, the people pleaser, the overachiever, the chill one, even if that's not how you feel inside. We've all done it, and maybe it worked for a while. But after a few years of pretending, you lose track of who you really are. Jung warned about this. He said the more you identify with the mask, the more you disconnect from your true self. And eventually, you wake up one day wondering why nothing feels real, why nothing satisfies you. That's the cost of living as a persona. So what's the alternative? He called it individuation. That's just a fancy word for becoming yourself, the whole you. Not just the version that's acceptable or liked or easy. It's the version that includes your flaws, your fears, your weirdness, your wild side, all of it. You stop trying to be someone, and you just are. That's when you stop getting controlled by others. Because when you know yourself, people can't tell you who you are. When you trust your gut, you don't need their validation. When you own your truth, manipulation loses its grip. Let's talk about projections. This one's big. You ever notice how when you're in a bad mood, everything annoys you? But when you're good, really good, nothing seems to get to you. Same world, same people. The difference is you. Jung said we project our inner stuff onto the outer world all the time. If you don't deal with your insecurities, you'll assume everyone's judging you. If you don't heal from betrayal, you'll think everyone's out to get you. It's not that the world's out to get you. It's that your wounds haven't been looked at. But once you realize you're projecting, you can pull that energy back in. Ask yourself, what's actually happening? What part of me is reacting here? Where have I felt this before? That's how you stop being controlled. By others, by the past, by the pain. Here's the twist. Most of us don't want to do this inner work. Not because we're lazy, but because it's uncomfortable. Facing your shadow isn't fun. Letting go of the persona is scary. Taking ownership means giving up excuses. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. Nobody can control a person who knows themselves. Not because they're stubborn or loud, but because they've already faced what used to scare them. They're grounded, centered, unshakable. And that's what this is about. Not chasing some perfect version of you. Not faking confidence. Just being honest, real, aware. Because once you stop lying to yourself, you stop letting people lie to you. Once you stop abandoning yourself, you stop needing others to complete you. Once you stop fearing who you are, you stop fearing the world. This is what Jung meant by making the unconscious conscious. It's not woo-woo. It's not spiritual fluff. It's the deepest kind of clarity. So here's your reminder. You are not weak because you feel lost sometimes. You are not broken because you've been hurt. You are not behind because you're still figuring it out. You're human. And the fact that you're even thinking about this stuff means you're already waking up. You're already breaking the cycle. You're already taking your power back. So no, nobody and nothing will control you again. Not once you've seen what's really going on inside. Not once you've stopped running from yourself. Not once you've stood in your truth, even if your voice shook while doing it. This is your life, and it's yours now, fully. If this woke something up inside you, if it made you stop and feel and think and breathe deeper, then make sure you subscribe to Valoric. We're just getting started. We're diving even deeper into these ideas soon. Real tools, real clarity, real inner freedom. Stay with it. You're not alone on this journey. And maybe now you're thinking, okay, I hear you. But what do I actually do with all this? That's fair, because awareness is the first step, but not the last. It's one thing to realize you've been controlled by invisible forces. It's another to start breaking free. Let's break it down. Let's make it real. Let's say you catch yourself overthinking, spinning your wheels. You say something small and then spend hours wondering, did they think I was weird? You second guess your choices, your tone, your timing, everything. Pause. Where's that coming from? Most of the time, it's not about the moment. It's about a pattern. Maybe growing up, you had to be perfect to be accepted. Maybe approval became your currency for safety. So now, every social interaction feels like a test you have to pass. And when you don't get instant validation, your nervous system lights up like something went wrong. But nothing went wrong. You're just reliving an old story, an old script. Jung would say this moment is gold, because when you feel the most reactive, most insecure, most triggered, that's the moment the unconscious is offering itself to be seen. Instead of spiraling, you pause and say, this isn't just about them, this is about me, my past, my pattern, my programming. And now you're not just reacting, you're remembering, you're reclaiming. That's the work. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. It's not always about going off to a cabin in the woods or doing hours of therapy every week. It can be small moments of radical honesty. You say no when you mean no. You take space when you're overwhelmed. You don't chase someone just to avoid feeling abandoned. You stop giving explanations for everything. You breathe and let people misunderstand you. That's power. Quiet power. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be. People who truly know themselves don't need to scream it. Their energy says it for them. So let's talk more about energy. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt something? No one said anything, but you felt it. Tension, sadness, peace, confidence, chaos. Energy is real. And when you're unaware of your unconscious, your energy leaks everywhere. You try to manage everyone's moods. You over-explain yourself. You shrink around people who seem more than you. Or you puff up around people you're secretly afraid of. But when you integrate your shadow, When you stop being afraid of your own humanness, you walk in as you, fully. You don't compete. You don't compare. You don't collapse. You carry yourself. That's what makes you magnetic. Not pretending to be perfect, not being the loudest in the room, just being. Calm, grounded, real. Let's talk about boundaries for a minute. Because once you stop being controlled internally, you naturally stop letting people control you externally. A lot of people confuse boundaries with being harsh or cold. They think saying no is mean, or that walking away is dramatic. It's not. A boundary is just clarity. It's saying, this is what I accept. This is what I don't. It's not about changing them. It's about being clear with yourself. Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And that includes overcommitting, over-explaining, over-giving. It feels easier to people-please than to sit with the discomfort of possibly being judged. But when you realize your worth isn't tied to other people's comfort, you become free. Some will be confused by your shift. They might say you've changed. Good. That means it's working. Not everyone is supposed to come with you. Some were only there to reflect the version of you that didn't know who you were yet. That version is done. Let it go. And let's talk about letting go. It's hard. Not just people, but ideas, roles, attachments. You might have spent years building a version of yourself that worked. Maybe you were the responsible one, the funny one, the strong one. And that role got you love, got you praise, got you attention. But now it feels like a cage. Here's the truth Jung would want you to hear. You're allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that got you here. You're allowed to want more. Peace instead of chaos. Silence instead of noise. Depth instead of performance. You're allowed to stop performing. You're not here to be consumed. You're here to be whole. And when you choose wholeness over likability, something shifts. You stop negotiating with people who never intended to meet you where you are. You stop begging for crumbs of connection. You stop outsourcing your value. You become the home you were searching for in everyone else. And when you do that, you stop being controlled. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You respond differently. You trust differently. You move differently. That's individuation, not becoming someone new, but remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Let's go even deeper. Jung talked about archetypes, universal patterns within us. The hero, the caregiver, the rebel, the lover, the magician. These are not fixed identities. They're energies we carry at different times in life. But here's the trap. Sometimes we get stuck in one archetype. You become the perpetual hero, always rescuing others, but burning out. You become the caregiver, always tending to others, but neglecting yourself. Or the rebel, always pushing back, but never resting. These are unconscious identities, powerful, but not the full picture. The goal isn't to become one of them. The goal is to be aware of them, to know which one is active and why. That's how you move with intention, not reaction. That's how you stop being controlled by your own survival mode. When you start to integrate all these parts, your shadow, your inner child, your archetypes, life stops feeling like a battle. You stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to meet yourself. Because there was never anything wrong with you. You were just trying to stay safe. But now you're ready to go beyond surviving. You're ready to start living. So breathe, slowly. You're here. And that means something. Because most people will never do this work. They'll stay on autopilot. They'll blame the world. They'll call it fate. But you're turning the lights on. You're waking up. And when you wake up to yourself, the world changes with you. People can't manipulate you like they used to. Old triggers don't land the same way. Fear doesn't run the show. It's not that life gets easier. It's that you get stronger. And not strong, like pretending everything's fine. Strong like knowing you can handle it. Strong like being gentle with yourself. Strong like choosing truth over comfort. That's real strength. And that's yours now. So say it out loud, even if it feels weird. Nobody and nothing will control me again. Say it again. Say it until it becomes the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you choose, the way you live. Because this is the beginning. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not late. You're right on time. And if this hits something real inside you, don't let it fade. Hold on to it. Revisit it. Let it reshape you. And subscribe to Valoric. Because this is the kind of clarity, power, and truth we're bringing you. Not surface-level hype, not empty motivation, real understanding, real transformation, real you